There are some thinkers you can read, and then there are those you must survive. Ludwig Wittgenstein is the latter. Born into one of the wealthiest families in Austria, a man of obsessive precision, spiritual agony, and philosophical genius. He left behind not just theories, but a method of unraveling thought itself. To speak of Wittgenstein is to walk a knife's edge between what can be said and what must remain unsaid. And it begins with a book so slim, so cryptic, it reads like scripture. The Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus. Published in 1921, this was the product of a mind shaped by mathematics, logic, and the trauma of war. Written while serving as a soldier in World War I, Wittgenstein believed it was his final work, that he had solved the problems of philosophy once and for all. After finishing it, he left academia entirely. But what did he say? In the Tractatus, Wittgenstein offers a vision of reality as something that can be mirrored in language. The world, he says, is made of facts, not things. And language is a picture of these facts. Words are not mere labels. They are parts of a logical structure that mirrors the structure of the world. If I say the cat is on the mat, that proposition has meaning because it depicts a possible state of affairs. If the world aligns with the picture, the sentence is true. If it does not, it is false. In this view, the limits of language are the limits of the world. What can be said clearly can be understood. Everything else, ethics, aesthetics, metaphysics, lies beyond. Most of the propositions and questions of philosophers arise from our failure to understand the logic of our language. This is analytic philosophy at its core, not a doctrine, but a method. The goal is not to expand meaning, but to clarify it, to clean up the mess of language, to dissolve the illusion that philosophical problems are real problems, rather than linguistic confusions. And then comes the final blow. My propositions are elucidatory in this way. He who understands me finally recognizes them as senseless. He must, so to speak, throw away the ladder after he has climbed up it. It is as if Wittgenstein had built a scaffold of logic only to burn it down. Everything that matters most, love, value, meaning, the divine, cannot be said, only shown. And in the face of that, one must remain silent. Cue the quiet. Wittgenstein returned. After a decade away from philosophy, after teaching in rural Austrian villages, after designing a house for his sister, so exacted drove the workers mad, Wittgenstein came back. But the man who returned was no longer the author of the Tractatus. He had turned. The clarity he once sought in logic, he now found in ambiguity. The scaffold of atomic facts and logical form was gone. In its place, language games. This was the Philosophical Investigations, a work he never published in his lifetime, but one that rewrote the map of philosophy. Language, he now argued, was not a mirror of reality. It was a tool, a practice, a living thing. Words do not carry meaning alone. Their meaning is shaped by the game they're used in. Like chess pieces, the same word can play different roles in different contexts. Pain doesn't name a private object. It's a part of how we learn, feel, gesture, and respond. Wittgenstein was no longer looking for the structure beneath language. He was watching it move, flow, flicker. To imagine a language is to imagine a form of life. Here's where we return to what at the elixir of life so insightfully called linguistic inflation. When thank you is said 1,000 times in passing, its weight dissolves. But it's not because the words are broken. It's because the game has changed. The gesture no longer lands. The form of life around it has thinned. Or worse, defilement by association. Perfectly pure phrases poisoned by context. Like how thoughts and prayers can sound like noise after mass tragedy. Or how I love you becomes hollow when spoken by someone who doesn't act in love. Wittgenstein gives us no solution, but he offers clarity. The illness is not in our souls, but in our words. And sometimes those are the same thing. The later Wittgenstein is a physician of language, not a builder of grand theories, but a therapist untying knots in our grammar, in our lives. Don't look behind the words for hidden meaning. Look at how they're used. Look at the human. Meaning is not a thing we possess. It's a thing we do. And this brings us to the question that haunted Wittgenstein from start to finish. What lies beyond the limits of language? In his early work, he said, silence. In his later work, perhaps he would have said, life. We live in an age drowning in words. They stream past us in headlines, notifications, slogans, empty formalities. Every word at risk of inflation. Every gesture at risk of defilement. And in the process, language begins to fail at its most important task, not describing the world, but binding us together in it. Wittgenstein's brilliance is that he never treats language as an abstract puzzle. He treats it as home. When words break, it's not just semantics. It's the collapse of a bridge between souls. And here is the ethical heart of it. If we're to live well, we must learn to listen to the weight of our words and to the silences between them. We must resist inflation by being present when we speak. We must resist defilement by cleansing our language through action. Thank you regains value not through rarity, but through sincerity. I love you regains force when it is carried by the life that speaks it. Wittgenstein ended the Tractatus with the image of a ladder to be thrown away. But perhaps the later Wittgenstein would say, keep the ladder, not to climb into the clouds, but to repair the small distances between us, one rung, one word, one gesture at a time. Because in the end, language is not just a tool for stating facts. It is the air of the human form of life. We do not just use words. We live in them. We are made of them. And when they falter, so do we. And so, if this journey through Wittgenstein's thought has stirred something in you, if it has made you see your own words, your own silences in a new light, then let's not leave it here. Let's build something that doesn't end when this video fades to black. Subscribe, not as a ritual click, but as an act of continuing the conversation. Share this with someone whose words matter to you. And if you wish to support Phi, know that you're not funding noise. You're keeping alive a space where language is treated not as disposable, but as sacred, whereof one cannot speak, one must be silent. But when we can speak, may it be with truth and with care.